It's actually a beautiful day in New York. Let's talk about something that some people might not like to talk about. Spiritual psychosis. Now, this is an educational video. Something to be aware of when doing different types of magic. Especially when it has to do with the left hand path. Technically, witch talk should start to be called trigger talk. What's important for people to understand is that everyone is going to have their own spiritual experience. And not every spiritual experience is going to align with everyone's views. But when it comes to working with specific infernos, Egyptian gods or Greek gods, it doesn't really matter, they'll have certain behaviors and traits. These behaviors and traits will show if you are working with that specific spirit. And also, it is a way of grounding yourself when it comes to interacting with other practitioners to know if the experience was actually valid. And what do I mean by valid? When talking to other practitioners or actually speaking to other individuals who had a similar experience, it makes sure and also shows you that you didn't go full on Delulu. There are many creators on this app, and everyone's going to have their own approach to what they do. Know that many of these creators, including me, has a specific approach of doing things. If it vibes with you, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Move on. Of course, this whole thing should be probably called trigger talk. Same here. There's someone that I like their content, and all of a sudden their content took a left turn, and I'm not interested anymore. I just don't watch it and move on. But of course, we live in a world of trigger talk, where one individual doesn't like what another one says, and all of a sudden everything blows up, and then everyone has an opinion. These opinions crash, and it becomes an adversarial tournament. A tournament to see who's right. Man, the ego is fun, isn't it? So, enough of my rambling. Let's get to the point. So, what is spiritual psychosis? It's when your spiritual path starts to blend in with the real world and it becomes hard to function. Of course, many people on TikTok, all of a sudden, if they don't agree with somebody, they all of a sudden start to click that, well, that person's probably going through spiritual psychosis because of a disagreement. But it makes you think. The person saying that another person is in spiritual psychosis, probably their ego feels good. He's in spiritual, or she's in spiritual psychosis. And of course that person's ego starts to feel good, like they're on the right path. What's important when you are doing spiritual work is actually grounding yourself and questioning everything that is happening to you and trying to make the spiritual parts of your life relate to the physical. That keeps you very grounded. It keeps me grounded. Now, for all of you who are just starting to work with the left-hand path and you heard about spiritual psychosis, please don't let that put fear into you so you do not work with the left-hand path. There could be any type of psychosis, not only with the left-hand path, but with religion too. It doesn't really matter. Remember, it's when the spiritual starts to mix in with the material, the real world, and it begins to be hard. It's hard to function. You can get paranoid. You can start thinking everything is after you. As a form of psychosis. How not to fall into spiritual psychosis? First of all, I can't promise anything. But what works is trying to ground yourself, trying to actually question things of what you are doing, especially in the spiritual. Make sure that when you are working with these spirits that you don't overthink things, because that could really, first of all, mess up the experience. Second of all, your brain will go into overthinking mode. It's important to start to write things down or question them after the experience. When you ground yourself, when you're back to reality. So this is for educational purposes and a little bit of me just rambling. Anyway, if you're interested in a consultation, if you're starting out to work with the Infernal Divine, write me an email. Or if you're interested in working with the clip-off correctly, follow for more.